各位观众朋友，大家好，欢迎收看今天的茶余饭后节目，我是李斌，
我是周磊，大家好。
可
能大家注意了，我和李斌，我们两个
每人拿一本书，
一人拿一本书。
不过我想我的观众朋友一定都有熟悉一本书，那因为我们拿的是英文，所以大家一定这什么书啊？但是讲到中文书的话，我想我们观众朋友一定都很熟悉，那就是
前世今生。
对，前世今生这本书。今天呢，我们非常荣幸的就请到了这本书的作者 Dr. Brian Weiss 到我们节目上面来跟我们观众朋友见面，是不是？
对。
Welcome to our show, Dr. Brian.
Oh, thank you very much. It's great to be here.
It's a long journey from Florida to be here, isn't it?
Yes, but well worth it.
Yeah. You know, in China, I think you have more Chinese readers probably than American readers.
More Chinese readers than anywhere else in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Even more than America, even more than the Spanish.
Yeah, that's right. Do you feel happy about it?
I'm very happy about it because it's so wonderful to do this work from a scientific setting, from my clinical practice of psychiatry, and find that it's in the ancient traditions of other people. That makes me very happy because I didn't discover the wheel. This has always been there, but I'm kind of confirming it from a Western scientific base, proving in a way that these ancient beliefs are very true.
Very true.
Very true.
With all the patients you have.
Yes.
But by reading your book, it seems like, you know, from your first book, Many Lives, Many Masters, in中文就是说呢，我们是前世今生哈，它里面是讲的一个病人叫 Catherine， 他这本书写的时候是在1988年的时候，就至今已经有8年的历史了哈。
对。
这本书呢，在台湾引起轰动是在几年前的时候，还蛮新的，
几
乎是人手一册了。
看起来读起来好像像一个小说一样。
对我看也是
不像一个心理这种剖析的这种作品。
对，而且非常神秘。但看过之后呢，我觉得还是很有启发的，感觉到人生呢哈，就是像一个故事，没有一个开头，也没有一个结尾，就是像当中的一段那种感觉，是不是 ？So we're talking with our audience about your first book, like Catherine's feeling, you know, because it seems like by reading that book, we feel like a human life is like a story without beginning and ending. It's a kind of a segment out of the eternity, that kind of feeling.
Exactly right. And even as we work today in doing these regressions, you can see how there is no death and there is no birth. Our consciousness, our soul exists before the birth and after the death. So it's like walking through a door and then leaving through that door at the end of the life. The continuity. This is the main finding of all of my work. Now, I do find that we come back again and again. We have a lot to learn and more than one time to get it right. But the main finding is that we don't die when our physical bodies die. We go on.
We're immortal.
Yes, immortal.
Right. Before 1988, before you write this book, Many Lives, Many Masters, do you really believe in any of the Asian religions? Have you read a lot about Asian religions like Hinduism or Buddhism?
No. I had a course in religion in college. I went to Columbia University and Yale Medical School. And in Columbia, I took a religion course. So I knew about the concept of reincarnation.
Right.
But to me, it was more of a theoretical. It wasn't in my own belief system. And I don't think I really believed in it at all. I didn't know much about it, only in general. And then to find through Catherine, and I've worked with 1,300 more patients since Catherine, that this is not only
single case,
no, but everybody. Now I notice, and I wrote in Only Love is Real, that in the United States, according to a Gallup survey, in December of 1994, 27% of people believe in reincarnation.
27%?
27%. So that's about 70 million people in the United States. And in certain countries of Latin America, for example, I gave some seminars in Colombia, which is a Catholic country, where more than 50% of the people believe in reincarnation. So this belief is increasing in the West because people have their own experiences.
That's true. But before 1988, before you take the Catherine case, did you believe in the incarnation?
No, not at all.
Not at all?
Not at all. Nothing. I was very, very skeptical.
And then why the Catherine? Seems like to me, you know, as a scientist, it seems like you should guide the patients instead of being guided by the patient. Seems like the Catherine is guiding you instead of you guiding the patient.
Well, you never know where you find a teacher. It can be a child. It can be a patient. And the worst thing is for a scientist to have a closed mind, because then you can't learn anything new. So here she had this experience. And then more and more. And now 1,300 of my patients have had these experiences. I can't be blind. My eyes have to see.
But would the people criticize you saying that you're a scientist? If you put this religious kind of flavor mixed into it, then it's not science anymore.
But remember what science really is. And I wish I could tell you in Chinese. I can't.
Yeah, that's okay.
But I will try in English. Science is the observation of phenomena, watching things, without having your mind made up, without having a prejudice or a bias. You watch completely neutrally, objectively, and then you develop a hypothesis, and then you test it. So when I was watching Catherine, and the next, and the next, and the next, and I'm seeing this, people are remembering past lifetimes, some of them speaking foreign languages that they never learned in this life, and reading off concentration camp numbers or serial numbers from army dog tags, and finding these people, even their graves from previous lives. How can I, as a scientist, say, oh no, that didn't happen? It does happen. So it really is science. I worked with a Chinese doctor not too long ago who spoke not a word of English. She came over from the mainland, I think, and she had an interpreter with her. She's a very famous surgeon, trained in Western medicine, didn't speak any English. She wanted to see what it was like. She also is a Qigong master. And I hypnotized her. She went very deep, and she started to speak English.
Are you kidding?
No. And she was in San Francisco in the last century. And the interpreter was shocked. His face turned white because he knew she didn't speak one word of English. This was her first trip to the United States ever. And so that's science. You can't say, oh, it didn't happen. No, it happened.
这真是非常不可思议的一个事情，是不是？我们先到了广告线，广告之后呢，我们再听那个 Dr. Weiss 呢，跟我们解释一下到底是
这种催眠，这种
对
追溯过去的往事的这种东西，到底是怎么一回事？
对，好，一会儿再会。
大家看到的这本书呢，就是这个只有爱是真实的，是真的。那么我们今天请来的是这个书的作者 Dr. Weiss，
也就是我们那个他第一本书那《前世今生》的作者 Dr. Brian Weiss。
这是刚才大家看到的那本呢，就是已经是他的第3本书了。
对，那最近呢也会出中文版，所以呢观众朋友一定要注意，这本书的英文名字叫 Only Love Is Real， 也就是说只有爱才是真的。所以我们等一下一起来问一下他为什么这本书起名叫只有爱是真的，好不好？
对呀。但是读他的书，有时候觉得好像不是这个，好像是小说一样的哈。
对啊，对啊。
So your book sounds too dramatic to be true.
Seems like.
Yeah.
The stories are always dramatic because this is life. Look at what you experienced today, Ray, in doing this. Your face and the tears and the crying, very dramatic because it is dramatic. This is real life. I don't find famous people all the time, like. Famous warriors or kings, not Napoleon, not Cleopatra. I find very mundane lifetimes, but the drama is there because there's life and death and loss and love. And then I find we always come back together again with some of the same people, a core group of people, what I call soulmates, people sharing lifetimes together.
They don't have to be real, the couples, right? The husband and wife, but they can be soulmates. It can be not just two people. It can be, you can have a lot of soulmates.
Oh, for sure. And in one lifetime you can have 4 or 5. A mother, a lover, a child, a best friend. This is how it works.
他在第一本书里面，他就是说是前世经讲的是一个病人，在这里面呢，他撮合了
讲了这个
一个男生一个女
人，
完全不相干的，来自不同地方。一个男生是来自墨西哥叫 Pablo， 然后女生呢是来自那个Minnesota， 好像是他也是在那个 Dr. Weiss 的一个 patient。
对。
两个人他
毫不相干的两个人，
毫不相干的两个人，他们居然
讲了，
讲
就是说
前世的事情都那么相近，
都相似，而且现在这两个人他们好像
他们结婚了，
他们结婚了，
对，
Yeah
结成了那个情景之好，真是非常具戏剧性，是一个很好的那个电影的题材，是不是？That's a good kind of theme for the film, so maybe for the theater, for the live theater, that's just so dramatic.
There's nothing like life. We all like stories of life.
Yeah.
There are many other couples I saw with dramatic stories that are not in this book, because this is about Pedro and Elizabeth, this particular couple.
Right.
But another couple I was seeing, for example, very interesting story. You know how we get pulled together, how you might recognize a person, they might seem familiar when you first meet them, but you don't have enough time with them to really explain it, and yet you know all about them. This is how soulmates meet. One couple I was seeing, they were pulled together at a party, a man from South America and a woman from Louisiana, nothing in common, different religions, everything different. They meet, there's instant chemistry, the attraction. They start going together. He starts becoming very jealous. She starts flirting, and she's a banker, not like this.
Love at first sight.
Love at first sight, that's right. That's how soulmates meet. Yeah, one of the ways.
Why this book is called Only Love is Real?
Because that to me is the bottom line, that only love is real. It's the energy of which we're all made of. And that title comes from one story in this book about a man who died, and he discovered that only love is real. Nothing else matters. We're here in this earth because this is like a big school to learn about love and compassion and charity and kindness. And we have to unlearn.
What do you mean by that?
To get rid of the thoughts of violence and greed and prejudice and hatred, because that's not what we're here for. We're here to become people who know about love. And what the bottom line to me is, to reach out to others with love without worrying about what comes back to you in return. If you do that, I think you're very close to graduating and not coming back.
Excuse me, Dr. Weiss, you sound more like a priest than a scientist or a psychiatrist to me by talking like this. Am I offending you? I hope not.
No. I think I was a priest in 2 of my lifetimes before that I remember. And there's not so much difference when you find that science and spirituality are beginning to come together. For the last 200 years, we have expected science to cure all the problems of mankind, and it cannot. We've proven it cannot. So science has to be balanced with spirituality too. It's very important to do this. But my approach is still science. This is not, as we talked about before, DNA testing. You can't do a blood testing and say, there's reincarnation. So it's like Freud. It's like describing what you see. This is called phenomenology. Philosophy, phenomenology. You describe what you see, but without a prejudice. And then you develop theories from that. But actually that is science. That is what science is not closed-mindedness. It's open-mindedness.
So people tend to have those kind of prejudice, saying that only tangible things, only those visible things like DNA, those are the science. Anything intangible, anything invisible, that's not science anymore.
No.
So this is kind of a prejudice, isn't it?
But it's not true. For example, we all dream. We have dreams. If you never dreamt, and I was telling you what dreams are like, you close your eyes, you start seeing things, you would say, that's not science. But it is. It is.
好的，谈到那个梦，这是很多的话题，可以讲不完，是不是？现在呢，稍微休息一下，我们继续来听他来试梦，好不好？请 Dr. Weiss 给我们试梦，一会儿见。
今天我们这个请来的是这个可能大家都熟悉的一本书《前世今生》，还有最近出版的一本书叫《只有爱是真的》。这2本书的一个作者非常热门的2本书，它的作者 Dr. Weiss。Dr.
Weiss，就刚才我们谈到他的书就是 Only Love Is Real， 在这里面我们刚才谈到他的戏剧性，觉得好像是简直不可思议，这里面怎么可能两个 毫不相干两个人讲出来的话，讲关于前世的那个经历，完全都是一样的，
所以有很
非常
多很多不
不可思议。
可思议的东西。
我们问一下他到底这有没有什么是有没有任何编造的成分在里面，好不好
Okay.
So Dr. Weiss, do you think in this books everything is documented by tapes and all the conversations between you and the patients?
Yes, I have audio tapes of all of my records with patients and my own notes too.
Yeah, because the reason I'm asking, it sounds like a lot of things are too dramatic to be true. So I've been wondering, what is any kind of dramatized elements in this book, or everything's?
No, it's from the tapes. For example, in Many Lives, Many Masters, all my tapes with Catherine.
Right.
I had a college student transcribe the tapes over a summer. Then I went over them again to make sure that they were all correct. And then I didn't let the editor change any of the words from the tapes because it was too important to me. And so they all come from tapes, and I don't even change that.
Ah, I see.
It's exactly the conversations from the tapes. I only dramatize the part of myself. My feelings, my reactions to it, that. So, because that's from memory. That I didn't tape. Now I'm feeling surprised. No.
No, you don't do that.
So I have to remember my own, but not what comes from the conversations with the patient. Just like we did now, before, when I worked with the two of you. And what you said was recorded by the camera. It's like that. I wouldn't change a word. You can see it exactly.
That's right.
But remember, it's not just one patient. It's 1,300 patients.
Yeah.
So, another question.
What is the past life regression therapy?
Yes. That's the act of going back in time. Regression just means going backwards. And I use it for therapy. So most of the people I see in my office have symptoms. For example, I saw a woman who couldn't wear anything around her neck. She couldn't button the button. She couldn't wear even a chain. Phobia. And when we found in a past life that she had been hanged, the neck, then the symptoms started to go away and disappeared. Because it was the hanging that she was remembering. And when she realized it was over, it's not going to happen in the future. It's already in the past. Or, for example, another woman who was afraid of the dark and of water, deep water. And I found in a past life that she had drowned at night as an adolescent, a teenager.
I see.
And it explained both the fear of darkness and of water. And then the fear starts to lift.
But how can they recognize, once they identify the past life and the problems, they can be cured all of a sudden? That seems like a miracle to me.
Well, but that's the whole basis of Freud and Carl Jung, the founders of psychoanalysis. Going back in time and remembering with emotion. This is called catharsis.
Right.
And then the symptoms start to disappear because the understanding is there. It's not always so dramatic or right away. It might take a few weeks or even a few months, but it's still very fast. For example, when I work with relationships, it takes longer because they may be more than one past life. And you have to find out all of the... But to work with a hanging, that may be enough right there. Or the water and darkness, that may be enough right there. Or sometimes when someone is very fat, obese, and I find that they had died in a past life of starvation. And now they're keeping on the weight protection, so it doesn't happen again.
That's amazing. Anything you miss in the past life, you make it up this life, right?
The past lives are very important, right?
I guess so. So people, it seems like they go to your office, go to your clinic. Seems like the people, they're all with a psychological problem or different kind of symptoms.
Yes.
So they come with a goal. They want to be cured.
Yes.
But does that mean to say they are easier to get to the past life than the normal people like us? And we're very confident people and have a normal way of life, or they refuse to believe in the past life or anything like that?
I think it's easier in a sense for patients because they're very motivated. They come in with a symptom. For example, say the fear of the neck, anything tight around the neck, that particular woman. She remembered right away the first time the hanging because the pressure of that symptom was causes it to be remembered more easily. But people like you, people who are normal, with a little bit of practice can have memories too. We all, for example, have some fear of death, some apprehension. So we do have symptoms. And so to remember that you've died 1,000 times, this helps you with your fear. There's nothing to be afraid of.
So we're coming to the break time again.
You are a treasure. And so suddenly they became rich. Don't be sad. The material possessions don't matter. They change. Were they happy together?
Yes.
And then they had you?
And my brother.
And your brother. This is the important thing. You don't have to be sad anymore. It's okay to be poor. Fortunes come and go. You are a treasure, and your brother. And they became very, very rich spiritually. So let go of the sadness.
Thanks a million, Dr. Weiss.
Thank you. 今天呢 ，Dr. Weiss 给我们带来了这个5本他的这个最新的这个书《Only Love Is Real》，只有爱是真的。我们要把这5本书呢送给我们茶余饭后的观众。
没错，我们的截止日期是在5月22号，在5月24号那一天呢的茶余饭后节目当中哈，我们进行抽奖。
所以呢，有兴趣的观众朋友呢，可以写信，也可以打电话给我们。这个我们会在5月24号揭晓我们的5位观众。好了，今天李平哲雷，谢谢大家收看茶余饭后，
我们下次节目再见。
再见。